right now, looking at the Wager Talk live odds screen, I'm seeing Texas State minus 3.5 total. Let's call it 59.5. There are some 60s out there. What do you want to do in the First Responder Bowl early start action on Tuesday?
Yeah, guys. Well, what's interesting about the First Responder Bowl is it's one of the few bowls where the transfer portal and opt-outs aren't really a significant portion of the handicap. And you look at Texas State, this is a first-time bowler. The Bobcats, they were 7-5 straight up this year, first year under G.J. Kinney. He really transformed this team. This team had been a dog for many years, but 50-plus transfers come in. You have TJ Finley, the quarterback, and the offense was top 10 in the country in yards per game in San Marcos. Even picked up their first win ever over a Power 5 conference opponent that was Baylor early in the season, set the tone. But you look at Rice, they're going to be motivated too. Just their second bowl since 2014. So these are two teams unaccustomed to bowls. Typically that does lead to some motivation. You have JT Daniels, the quarterback for Rice. He's medically retired, so he's out of there. But A.J. Padgett, I think he can fill in admirably. 24-37 for 255 in the regular season finale versus FAU. And if you don't think Rice is motivated to be here, they probably wouldn't have won their last two regular season games to get a bowl spot. You got Luke McCaffrey, wide receiver. That is Christian's brother, oh, by the way. He caught 12 passes for 141 yards in that FAU game. Keep an eye on him. Texas State, they could score. There's no doubt about it. I mentioned top 10 in the country in yards per game on offense, but their defense, it stinks. They gave up 33.8 points per game over the course of the year. They had that game against, I believe it was Arkansas State, hung 77 on them. Yes, there were some non-offensive scores in there, but as we saw earlier with Arkansas State in the bowl, if you're giving up 77 to that team, your defense is not good. Rice is very good as an underdog, Teddy. 6-1 when catching points this season, 8-3 against the number in all games. I think they might be the better team here, so I'll take the points in the First Responder Bowl on Tuesday.
I want to talk about defenses that struggle down the stretch. And that's certainly going to be the case in a handful of bowl games we talk about this week, because you have, the non-true elites going this week, and the elites go this next weekend. But when we look, for example, at Texas State, the last two games, they give up 77 to Arkansas State and 44 to South Alabama. For most of the year, this defense was at least decent, pretty good. But at the end of the season, they let go of the rope. How do you approach teams like that? UNLV's in that situation today. There's a handful of teams that you're going to find with decent full season defensive numbers, but defensive numbers that definitely got worse down the stretch. Do you expect them to revert to their full year form, or the defenses that crashed and burned in November are likely to crash and burn in December as well?
I think this is a case-by-case basis, Teddy. I think Texas State's defense will not revert back to when it played a little bit better early at the start of the season. But look, I don't need to tell you. You look at these bowl games. I'm not sugarcoating when I say this is the toughest year I've ever had to handicap these bowl games. Everything's a case-by-case basis. I don't think there's a golden rule that you can apply to all these games, because there's so many of these matchups where the number is so different from where I would have it power rated in the regular season, right? I mean, there are games where the point spread is 10 points off what I think it would be if the game was played a month ago in the regular season. In this particular instance, it boils down to, I don't think Texas State should probably be favored here. And these are two teams where, like I said at the outset, not a lot of opt-outs, not a lot of transfers. So I feel comfortable enough to saying, I think this number's wrong. I think Texas State struggles enough defensively that Rice can score enough, +3 in the hook, to cover. And it's been one-way traffic, by the way, on the spread. If you look at the wagertalk.com odds screen, we haven't seen any resistance come in. It looks like the sharp money's on Rice as well.
Brian Power joining us, everybody, and it is $2 Tuesday over at wagertalk.com. Brian Power happens to be the $2 Tuesday expert. Tell us what you got going for the clients, my friend.
Yeah, it's been a nice run in college football going back to the end of the regular season, guys. 11-4 our last 15 college football selections. 67% last year in the bowls, and true to form. Saturday night, we had two winners, Northwestern and Coastal Carolina. Not only did they cover wire to wire, they won the games outright. That was a nice Saturday night. Those two and the Chargers, which we gave out last week on the show, plus the points against the Bills. And then last night, speaking of outright winners, I know Teddy was on this as well. I had the Baltimore Ravens against the San Francisco 49ers. Went much easier than I expected that to go. The Ravens, quite a statement in the NFL, but it is my next best bet in the bowls. That is $2. That game kicks off tomorrow, just for your information. And yes, you can get it right there, as you see on my page, just $2.